Aaron Spelling was the mastermind behind some of television's biggest and most iconic series of the 1970s and 80s.
Nobody had as many shows on television at one time as Aaron Spelling.
Spelling's rags to riches story was more like rags to unbelievable wealth.
Aaron Spelling was fast becoming one of the most powerful and richest men in all of Hollywood.
When Spelling died at the age of 83, there were questions about the handling of his estate and whether he truly understood how wealthy he was.
Somewhere along the line, Spelling lost track of what money actually means. You know, it's like 100 million, a million, what's the difference?
Spelling left not only a massive legacy to one person, but he also left behind a massive feud within his family.
I think it hurts a lot more when it's not just a feud between you, it's in front of millions of people.
The fame, the fortune.
His fortune is going to continue to grow as his TV legacy goes on and on for decades to come.
The legacy of Aaron Spelling. TV producer Aaron Spelling created a massive number of hit TV series, like Charlie's Angels, The Love Boat, and Dynasty, among many others.
I understand this is a very special week for you. You're being honored this weekend with a special award.
Am I, honey?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The Scope is
tomorrow night. I'm rehearsing for it tonight. That's why I'll be here.
With more than 3,500 programs and over 4,000 hours of TV, the Guinness Book of World Records once recognized him as the most prolific TV producer of all time.
He was seen as having a Midas touch, obviously. Most things that he produced became very, very successful.
After battling cancer for 5 years, the legendary 83-year-old producer suffers a stroke in June 2006 and dies in his palatial Los Angeles home. He leaves behind a legacy containing thousands of hours of entertainment still watched by millions of people to this day. During his height in the 70s and 80s, Spelling produces 7 hours of programming a week on ABC, a third of the network's total primetime schedule.
In today's television landscape, television shows are often dark and they're gritty and they're very realistic, and there's a lot of violence. Not much is left to the imagination. And back in the 70s and the 80s, when Aaron Spelling really ruled the airwaves, it was the opposite. It was fantasy-based. There was an emphasis on glamour. The sky was the limit in terms of expense, just extremely exaggerated fashion. He was the king of that sort of entertainment.
He's also known for the monumental fortune he accumulates along the way. When Spelling dies, questions about how that wealth will be distributed make headlines. Everyone wonders who will get a piece of the enormous estate Spelling leaves behind. The plot twists are worthy of one of his best-known shows, Dynasty. Aaron Spelling's rags to riches story begins in Dallas, Texas in 1923. Born to a struggling immigrant Jewish family, his father from Poland and his mother from Russia, Spelling grows up with 3 brothers and a sister. His father's name, originally Sperling, is simplified to Spelling by an Ellis Island official. The family lives in a small frame house in a neighborhood Spelling later calls the wrong side of the tracks. There are few Jews in Dallas, and Spelling endures much bullying, often taunted and subjected to beatings on his way home from school. His schoolmates think he's strange because his parents speak Yiddish.
To be an outsider in your community and to be bullied and taunted, I mean, that has a psychological effect on young Spelling. I think that is part of what fueled his creativity and his need to be accepted by the public.
Young Spelling, a frail and scrawny boy, is so traumatized by the bullying that at the age of 9, he suffers what he later calls a nervous breakdown and is rendered psychosomatically unable to walk. He leaves school and takes to his bed for a year.
Being rendered unable to walk for no apparent physical reason, I really think that is a way that he removed himself from the bullying and the trauma that he was going through socially. Having a year-long break from being bullied and traumatized at school may have given Aaron time and space to be creative in his mind and really develop stories and characters that we later enjoyed.
While Aaron Spelling was in bed, he became a great reader, in particular the stories and novels of Mark Twain, whose work is infused with the spirit of exaggeration, where all things might not be true, and he later adapted that in a different way in his own television scripts.
By the time he goes back to school, he has an intense love of writing fiction and decides to become a professional writer. After graduating high school, Spelling joins the U.S. Army and serves for 3 years during World War II. His creativity continues, with him organizing theatrical performances for the troops in Europe and writing for the Stars and Stripes newspaper.
A wound from a sniper left permanent damage in one of his hands and earned him a Purple Heart. So while recovering, he tours in a play, Oh Mistress Mine, with Alfred Lunt and Lynn Fontaine, huge stars at the time.
Spelling returns to Texas. He studies journalism at Southern Methodist University in Dallas on the GI Bill and becomes a successful student playwright. In 1947, he wins the Eugene O'Neill Award for Original One-Act Play. He also joins a comedy team, performing at school as well as at nearby community theaters, and after graduation, he takes a job as director of a local playhouse. But Dallas is very segregated at the time.
He stirs up controversy when he helps a group of local black students mount an all-black play. Now, this causes a lot of controversy, a lot of uproar, and his father then loses his job in the local Sears. But luckily, a member of the theatre department intervenes, and David Spelling gets his job back.
The experience pushes Spelling to New York, where he tries to get a break as a playwright on Broadway. After 3 fruitless months in New York, Spelling heads west to Hollywood. He finds work as an airline clerk, then lands a job carrying instruments for an all-girl band, all the while hammering out scripts at night. When he directs a play at a local theater, he meets actress Carolyn Jones, also a native Texan, and falls in love. They marry in 1953. Jones's career is starting to take off, while Spelling manages to eke out a living doing bit parts in TV and movies. He gets small guest roles on Dragnet and I Love Lucy, as well as a role in the film noir Vicky.
Spelling often said, because he was small, skinny, and bug-eyed, he'd often get cast in the roles of pervert or the drunk.
Spelling doesn't give up his dream of being a writer. In 1954, he sells his first script to Jane Wyman Presents the Fireside Theater, a TV drama anthology. But writing gigs are few and far between. His wife Carolyn, on the other hand, is becoming a star, with roles in several popular TV shows, as well as classic movies like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
So Spelling's roles are getting smaller and smaller, and Carolyn, bless her, continues to help him, to encourage him to keep writing, and she promotes his scripts wherever she can.
The acting experiences soon sour, and he turns to his typewriter for good. In 1957, he earns his first major TV writing credit with Bigfoot Wallace, a Western TV movie. Spelling's friendship with actor-producers like Dick Powell, Jack Webb, and Alan Ladd helps him climb the ranks in Hollywood.
Aaron Spelling was off to a good start in the late 1950s. He worked with Dick Powell on the Zane Green Theater on television, and he also produced his first series, Johnny Ringo, a Western.
By 1962, Spelling is producing The Lloyd Bridges Show. It's considered, in retrospect, to be highly innovative. In the series, Bridges plays an author who transforms into the main character of each episode. Spelling follows that up by producing Burke's Law, a detective series that runs from 1963 to 1965, starring Gene Barry, and is later revived by CBS in the 1990s.
He basically created the antithesis of himself, which was the debonair, wealthy, the guy he wanted to be, and who he became eventually. But it was Gene Barry in a Rolls Royce on Burke's Law, chasing women and taking time out to solve a murder now every week.
Spelling keeps working for Dick Powell's production company, 4-Star Television. His strong suit is his ability to woo film actors to TV by writing the kinds of parts they'd never get the chance to play in the Hollywood typecasting system. He gets his first executive producer credit on Honey West, a crime drama series starring Anne Francis as a private detective. In 1967, Spelling decides to partner with comedian and TV mogul Danny Thomas and start their own company. Thomas Spelling Productions has its first venture with the Western sitcom Rango in 1967, starring Tim Conway.
Meanwhile, on a personal front, his marriage to Carolyn Jones falls apart. They separate in 1963.
The couple divorce in 1964, but not before Spelling encourages Carolyn to take the role of Morticia Addams on TV's Addams Family. It becomes the role for which he is best remembered. In 1968, Spelling has a career breakthrough with The Mod Squad. The iconic counterculture police series runs for 5 seasons. It's one of the first shows to feature an African American as a star.
When Aaron Spelling introduced the character of Lincoln Hayes on Mod Squad, he had the opportunity to make the dialogue gritty in a way that was not heard on any other TV show. So when Lincoln Hayes would say things like, "I don't think" on Soul Brothers, it was not like Samantha Stevens on Bewitched going, "Mother, don't cast that spell again." It was just another world.
The Mod Squad is such a success that Spelling signs an exclusive production contract with ABC. He's now starting to earn a good living, and his future looks bright. He meets his next wife, Candy, a sometime model, at the popular Beverly Hills hangout, the Daisy Club, in 1964. She's only 18. The two eventually marry in 1968. Candy is 23. Spelling is 42. With his newfound industry clout and a young wife beside him, Spelling begins another chapter in his life. But can he keep up with the ever-changing tastes of television audiences? Aaron Spelling has gone from a dirt-poor upbringing in Texas to the glamour of Hollywood studios and celebrities. His hit show, The Mod Squad, puts him on the map and paves the way for him to start building his TV empire. Spelling creates his own production company, Aaron Spelling Productions. He also teams up with producer Leonard Goldberg to form Spelling Goldberg Productions.
Well, there was one hit show after another, right? There was SWAT, there was Starsky and Hutch, there was Charlie's Angels. He just cranked them out faster than you could watch them. And the brilliant thing is that he found all these various actors to play all these parts, and a lot of them were new, to TV, and that was great because audiences always want new actors.
Charlie's Angels is a runaway hit and propels its 3 lead actresses to mega stardom.
It was ostensibly a feminist cop drama using Aaron Spelling's tried and true trio format. And what it really was a jiggle show. As Farrah Fawcett said later on, when we went to number 3 in the ratings, I thought it was because of our acting. When we went to number 1, I knew it was because we weren't wearing brassieres. So it was a wonderful opportunity to get gorgeous women in semi-dangerous situations and please a lot of people at one time. In the late 1970s, Aaron Spelling was on another role, and after Charlie's Angels came The Love Boat, which was a great repository of guest stars. And, these pure escapist entertainments made certain magazine editors in New York, like those at The New Yorker, very angry, and the magazine called him a schlock merchant, which was true, but America loves schlock.
Spelling admits that he's hurt by the critical onslaught, but he shows are big hits. Audiences are eating up this escapist entertainment, and the rewards are really big.
Spelling also produces more than a dozen TV movies. His list of credits is growing longer and longer, and his family is growing too. Candy gives birth to their daughter Tori in 1973 and son Randy in 1978. By 1981, Spelling's success reaches fever pitch.
Okay, now this pilot coming up, is this coming up in the fall season then?
Yes, we'll be shooting in a few weeks. We'll start in 2 weeks.
Tell me a little bit about it.
It's a very exciting, romantic adventure between a husband and his divorced wife.
Well, we would expect nothing less from Mr. Aaron Spelling.
His knack for interpreting ratings and predicting what audiences want leads him to produce his biggest rating smash yet.
In the early 80s, Aaron Spelling outdid himself when he introduced Dynasty, which was this insane soap opera about an oil tycoon in Denver, his second wife, their unruly children, Blake Carrington's ex-wife, Alexis, who was vicious, who was entitled, who had a British accent, and who despised Blake's new wife. This female war drove that show to the top of the ratings, past the reigning primetime soap Dallas, which was on Friday nights and had a very different kind of audience.
In the 1984-85 season, not only does Dynasty topple its rival Dallas for top spot, but it reaches over 21 million viewers and commands some of the highest advertising prices in television.
By the early 80s, with Dynasty and a string of other hits under his belt, Aaron Spelling was fast becoming one of the most powerful and richest men in all of Hollywood. He purchased Bing Crosby's mansion, and this is before he took his company public, which sent his net worth skyrocketing.
With Spelling's fortune growing, he and Candy decide to build their dream home. They tear down Bing Crosby's old home in 1986 and begin one of the most massive local construction projects. The home is to be over 56,000 square feet and spread over 6 acres, making it one of the most impressive building sites in Southern California at the time. It would take 4 years from start to finish and cost $12 million.
Almost as soon as the construction starts, the neighbors are not happy. It causes a lot of controversy. It's way too big and ostentatious. 2 years into the construction, the LA Times quotes a neighbor saying, "This is, look at me, I'm rich architecture."
The plans for the dream home are ambitious, to say the least. It's soon to become one of the most famous residences in America. And Spelling has to keep working to bankroll it. He continues churning out popular shows throughout the 80s, like T.J. Hooker, Matt Houston, Hotel, and the Dynasty spin-off The Colbys. In 1986, Aaron Spelling Productions goes public and raises $80 million. The company is renamed Spelling Entertainment. His fortune is estimated at $235 million.
Going public means that someone's taking the private shares from their company and selling them on the stock market. Now, oftentimes this is done to increase liquidity and raise capital, and that's exactly what happened for Aaron Spelling. He brought in a whopping $80 million by doing this, and this was really a critical time that skyrocketed his fortune.
By the mid-80s, Spelling is responsible for 1/3 of ABC's fall lineup. Spelling is dubbed the King of Primetime.
Nobody had as many shows on television at one time as Aaron Spelling. It hasn't been done since, and it hadn't been done before. He literally dominated the airwaves for a very long time, so much so that ABC was referred to as Aaron's broadcasting company.
But by 1989, Spelling's domination over much of ABC's schedule comes to an end. All of his series have run their course, and he has not one single show on the air.
The shows on the other networks were hipper, they were edgier, they weren't so over the top. You had Murphy Brown on CBS, you had Golden Girls on NBC, you had Murder, She Wrote on CBS. All these shows were anchored by strong central female figures. And you didn't always need the cast of 20 in Nolan Miller gowns. People wanted simpler shows after a while. You know, it was like Aaron Spelling gave you so much dessert that you had maybe too many sweets.
Spelling is mortified when he sees the headline in the trade paper Variety that says, "Spelling Dynasty Dead," and he sinks into a depression, thinking he'll become a has-been.
Spelling seemed to take rejection really strongly, and it manifests itself, it seems, in physical symptoms. Getting sick when a show was canceled or received a poor review. His emotions and body were very connected. Negative press likely hit Spelling really hard because it wasn't just about the money. It was about being accepted and being approved of, that thing that he never got as a young boy.
Spelling is quoted as claiming, "I don't know what the networks want anymore." He's been the king of primetime for so long, but is his reign finally over?
Just when he thinks his biggest hits are behind him, he gets a call from the Fox network seeing if he'll be interested in developing a soap opera set in a high school.
He starts to develop the show with writer Darren Star, who later becomes the mastermind behind the mega hit Sex and the City. In 1990, Beverly Hills 90210 debuts. It runs for 10 seasons and an astounding 298 episodes.
90210 was a great opportunity for him to do what he did with Mod Squad, but do it on a bigger scale, which was to find younger actors for a new generation, people they can identify with. There was Shannon Doherty, there was Jason Priestley, there was Tori Spelling, there was Gabriella Carteris. Each of these guys were different enough that the audience could just hook into their adventures. Beverly Hills 90210 put Fox on the map. That helped them launch other shows.
By 1991, the Spelling dream home is ready and the family moves in. The French chateau-style mansion is dubbed the Manor. At almost 57,000 square feet, it's bigger than the Taj Mahal and bigger than the White House.
So this house has 14 bedrooms, 27 bathrooms, a dining room that can fit 30 people, and a parking lot that can fit 100 cars.
Little does Spelling know, but the Manor will one day cause rifts and fuel battles within the Spelling family. Aaron Spelling is one of the most prolific TV producers in Hollywood. With hit shows like The Mod Squad, Charlie's Angels, and Dynasty, and now Beverly Hills 90210, he is entering his third decade of incredible success and wealth. And his new living quarters represents this.
Spelling lived in a small, crowded home in the midst of poverty. And he ends up having the biggest house in Hollywood. That is not an accident. Obviously, space and having room, that symbolizes something to him. And he had claustrophobia. So having this big home, that may be related. He doesn't want to feel cramped in like he did when he was a boy.
The home becomes a tourist attraction.
I think it's really telling that Aaron would go out and greet people, the fans who came to see his mansion. Most stars retreat and run away from that kind of thing. And that tells us that Spelling really needed that personal validation from his fans.
And the fans are definitely back. Throughout the 90s, Spelling is doing what he does best, launching new series and new stars. In 1992, Melrose Place debuts, with Spelling as executive producer. Depicting the lives of yuppies in an LA apartment complex, the series airs for 7 seasons.
Having the success of Melrose Place after the success of Beverly Hills made him look like a kingmaker again for another generation. And it should be noted that Heather Locklear, at this point, was Aaron Spelling's lucky charm. That's what he used to call her. Because this girl that he created, put her on Dynasty, she was on TJ Hooker. She came back to do a younger, sleeker version of Joan Collins on Melrose Place. And people just used to tune in to see how nasty she was.
I can truthfully say that the thing I love most about the business is the cast, as far as I'm concerned, is our family. And I love them all. And
Spelling rarely clashes with his actors, but when he does, it makes splashy headlines. In 1996, Hunter Tylo, set to star in Melrose Place, is fired before filming any episodes when she announces she's pregnant. She sues Spelling and his company for pregnancy discrimination and is awarded almost $5 million by a Los Angeles jury.
Hunter Tylo's legal victory over Aaron Spelling set an important precedent for actresses who were pregnant. They could have their own rights, and television producers could not dismiss them from projects because they were starting a family.
Spelling, a longtime pipe smoker, faces a crisis of his own in 2001 when he is diagnosed with oral cancer. He keeps working but lays low while battling the disease. In November of 2003, Spelling draws up his will. The following year, his daughter Tori marries writer-actor Charlie Shanian in a $1 million wedding held at the Manor.
So the marriage only lasts for 15 months because Tori cheated on him in 2005 while she was in Canada recording a TV movie. And then obviously then she meets the love of her life, Dean McDermott. They're both married, but sparks fly. They start an affair immediately and actually got engaged while they were still married to separate partners.
This starts a rift in the Spelling family. Candy doesn't call Tori back after Tori tells her about the divorce. Then Candy forces Tori to move out of her apartment after her engagement to Dean.
So Tori's been living independently for 10 years after moving out of the Manor, but she still pays rent to Candy, who owns the apartment that she lives in, and Candy wants her to move out. She tells her through an email from her business manager, and he says that Candy thinks it's a good time, investment-wise, for her to sell the condo. So Tori then needs to move up and ship out.
Meanwhile, Spelling is faced with another setback. In late 2005, he sues his former nurse, Charlene Richards, for $5 million for allegedly violating a confidentiality agreement and spreading rumors that Spelling sexually harassed her. She then countersues him in January 2006 for sexual harassment, battery, wrongful termination, and other grounds. And the Spellings just keep on making headlines. In April 2006, Tori's new show, So Notorious, debuts. She produces the sitcom and plays a fictional version of herself, also named Tori. But art is definitely imitating life.
In the show, Tori's mother is called Kiki. She is the ultimate Hollywood housewife, Hollywood royalty, the mummy dearest type. The nanny raises Tori and actually thinks of her as her own child, which is not too far from actual Tori's real life. But everyone's talking about Kiki and that character.
Reportedly, Spelling and Candy are furious after watching the show. A gossip site reports that Candy threatens Tori with a lawsuit. Tori's spokesperson says on her behalf that the show takes poetic license with every character and storyline. But the feud between Tori and Candy has now taken on epic proportions.
Tori and Candy have a very interesting relationship, but it's not unlike other mother-daughter relationships. It's just magnified because they have the ear of the press and the media. So it's not just little jabs at the dinner table. These are jabs on reality TV. I think it's kind of healthy that Tori has a sense of humor, though. I mean, in her reality show, she pokes fun at her mother's eBay room, but she's also making fun of herself, too. So that's actually a sign of emotional health.
Though she's earned good money from her role on Beverly Hills 90210 and other ventures, by now Tori is in debt. She's born into a millionaire lifestyle and has no idea how to budget, so she rarely looks at price tags. She and Dean McDermott eloped to a private island in Fiji in May 2006. Back in Hollywood, Spelling's health is deteriorating. He's a shell of his former self, rarely even getting out of bed. While she's in Fiji, Tori learns through a friend that Candy has closed Spelling's office and sold all its contents at an online auction site.
So there's a lamp for $60, a chair for $200, and some other things of sentimental value. Tori doesn't like this at all because she feels that it's stripping his life of his essential things.
And according to Tori, his wife is going out every night without him. Candy and businessman family friend Mark Nathanson are spending so much time together that Tori feels uncomfortable being around her family. By June 2006, Tori hasn't seen her family in almost a year when her brother Randy urges her to come and see Spelling while Candy and Mark are in Las Vegas.
Tori visits her father and introduces him to her new husband, Dean, but deep in her heart she knows that this may be the last time that she sees him alive and that she may not be welcomed back by Candy with open arms.
Tori has reconciled with her dad. But when she inadvertently lets it slip to the press that she isn't seeing her mom because Candy is having a relationship Tori doesn't approve of, the feud gets even nastier. On June 18, 2006, Spelling suffers a stroke. 5 days later, while she's in Toronto with Dean, Tori gets an email from a friend who has seen a TV report. The email says, "I just heard about your dad. I'm so sorry."
So Tori actually finds out that her father has died from an email from a friend, and she is completely livid. But what Candy does next sends her over the edge.
Ongoing family conflict is one thing, but when there's a death in the family, all feuds are called off. But that's not what happened in this case.
Aaron Spelling is gone. And with a family feud raging, what will this mean for his estate, by now estimated to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars?
Aaron Spelling's estimated net worth when he passed away was $500 million. So clearly his wife Candy and his children Tori and Randy are in line for a big payday.
On June 23, 2006, legendary TV producer Aaron Spelling dies of complications from a stroke. Private funeral services are held 2 days later. He has amassed an enormous fortune during his long career, and the deep rift in the Spelling family has Hollywood tongues wagging about how his estate will be parceled out. The next day, Candy issues a press release from Candy and Randy Spelling. It says they are both grieving a great man. Tori has been snubbed once again and considers this a slap in the face.
The decision to exclude Tori from the official press release about Spelling's death shows how much pain there is in that relationship. I mean, even in the face of the death of someone they love, they can't come together.
The family's dirty laundry goes high profile in the weeks after Spelling's death with an article in Us Weekly. Tori dishes the dirt on her mom, saying Candy was not updating her on her father's health and purposely left Tori's name off the family's public announcement about his death. It sets off a press war between them. Candy issues a statement condemning Tori, saying her comments are mean-spirited, hurtful, and disturbing. She says Spelling's legacy has been tainted.
It's like something straight out of Dynasty, if it wasn't happening to his own family. I actually think it could be a story that Aaron himself would have liked to produce.
Families often have a difficult time communicating to each other directly, but in the case of the Spellings, they have access to the media, so they can fight publicly, and I think it hurts a lot more when it's not just a feud between you, it's in front of millions of people.
And it fuels endless speculation about how the Spelling estate will be divvied up. Later the same month, Spelling's will is filed.
Spelling's estate was estimated at about $500 million, so a trust in this case is a no-brainer. Now, he appointed his wife Candy as the executor of his pour-over will and also as a trustee of his trust. Who got the money from his trust? Well, we don't know, because a trust is a private document kept outside of the public, so people like us can't find out who they're leaving their money to, how they're leaving it, and actually it also saves them expenses as well, going through the probate court.
With such a huge fortune, everyone expects that his children are going to become rich. However, media reports surface that they each only receive $800,000 under his trust. That's 0.16% each of his $500 million fortune. He left most of the money to Candy, obviously putting a lot of trust and faith in his wife.
There were reports that through Spelling's trust, he left $50,000 to the interior decorator of the manor, $50,000 to his brother Daniel, and $25,000 to his wife's manicurist. When you consider the size of his estate was $500 million, giving $800,000 to each of his children was really shocking.
In some ways, I have more respect for him because of this. Maybe he wants his kids to learn how to work like he did. I mean, if you give kids, $50 million, they never have to work again. But $800K, I mean, they may have to figure out some things. So I think it was a good call.
Tori actually confirmed that it did give her the incentive to work. She came out publicly saying if her dad had left her a lot of money, then she may not have been so incentivized to make a living.
The media assumes that Candy is behind this. After all, her public battle with Tori is the mother of all feuds.
Things were getting really ugly at this point, and that is one of the risks of giving so much control to one person. Would Aaron have wanted Tori to receive more money regardless of his relationship with Candy? We don't really know, and it doesn't matter because he chose Candy. And this is very unusual when you're looking at these kind of dollars because she was named as the only trustee to serve. There was no co-trustee such as an attorney or professional money manager, which you normally see with celebrities, especially with this kind of money at issue. Did Aaron set it up this way because of pressure from his wife, Candy? It really is an interesting question, especially when you look at what Tori had to say about her father's understanding of money. But we don't really know. The only person that can answer that question is Candy.
I think the biggest misconception is that I'm this wicked witch of the West. That I'm just sitting there counting my husband's money and You know, truthfully, this was something that, you know, we did it together. We worked as a team.
Aaron tells Tori, you and Randy are totally set up. You're gonna get under just $1 million each, you'll be fine. But what does he really think? Under $1 million is enough to keep that princess pampered in designer bags and designer shoes all her life? I don't think so.
I can't help but wonder if somewhere along the line, Spelling lost track of what money actually means. You know, what, it's like 100 million, a million, what's the difference?
Tori thinks her father was completely sincere in his belief that she's set for life, but she realizes in that moment that he knew nothing about money. She says just because someone has a lot of money doesn't mean they spend much time thinking about it. Her father would drop $1 million on a necklace for Candy without blinking. But when he knew Tori was having a hard time, he would slip her a 20 and say, "Don't tell your mother."
One thing that Aaron Spelling's will did have was a no contest clause. And this isn't unusual, especially when you're considering the size of his estate. A no contest clause means that if any of his beneficiaries tried to contest his wishes and what he left them, they could be disinherited and not get a penny. Now, there were reports that Tori was going to contest his will and trust, but she didn't. Was it because of this clause? It's a strong likelihood that it was.
Meanwhile, her feud with her mother rages on. Tori is planning to produce and host a tribute to her father to air on ABC in the fall of 2006. Reportedly, stars from Spelling's shows have signed on, and some have already been interviewed. Her mother blocks the project by refusing to release tapes of Spelling's shows.
So it's a case of dueling tributes. Sources say that Candy has killed the project because Tori's involved. So Candy's side of the story is that she promised tapes to NBC for the Emmy tribute in August, and she thinks one tribute is enough.
The stars of Charlie's Angels came out and spoke very movingly. While the actresses were speaking on stage about Aaron Spelling and his influence on their careers and their affection for him, the cameraman cut away several times to Mrs. Spelling in the audience, and she was visibly moved. She was crying.
And of course, as you can imagine, there is a lot of family drama. So picture this. You have Candy on one side of the auditorium, and then you have Tori and Dean on the other.
The following year, in March 2007, Tori gives birth to her first son, Liam. In the last weeks of her pregnancy, she and Candy allegedly both reach out to each other at the same time. The permafrost is slowly starting to melt. Candy is in the delivery room when Tori gives birth, and she is said to be ecstatic over her first grandchild. The next year, Tori has a girl.
Reportedly, Candy set up a $10 million trust fund for her grandson Liam and did the same thing for her other grandchildren. That's why you can't assume that just because Aaron left most of his money to Candy that he didn't want his children and grandchildren to benefit as well. Candy had the discretion to set up trust funds like this. Now, of course, with her ongoing feud with Tori, that made Tori's future look not so bright, but perhaps if they reconciled, that could change.
Tori is back on TV screens that same year in a new reality show with her husband, Dean. It also causes another rift between Tori and her mom when Candy announces, again through the media, that the only way she can see her grandchildren is by appearing on Tori's reality show.
Around the same time, Candy posts a letter on her website, and she calls out Tori for not responding to her emails or texts. She wants to see Tori's family in private, like a normal family, which is really what Tori ever really wanted anyway. Can this drama get any more complicated?
Another twist has been added to the battles around Aaron Spelling's estate. Candy has listed their palatial mansion for sale at a record-breaking $150 million. And while Tori is still having financial problems, Candy drops a reported $35 million on a two-story penthouse condo in LA. As for Candy's reconciliation with Tori, it proves to have been short-lived. Along with the potential income of the sale of the house, Aaron Spelling's estate continues to rake in money.
Even though Spelling passed away in 2006, his fortune is still growing. He has residuals coming in from all sorts of TV shows: Love Boat, Dynasty, Melrose Place. Beverly Hills 90210, and so many more. One can assume that the beneficiary of this money will be Candy herself.
The Spelling family home remains on the market at $150 million for over 2 years before it finally sells to a wealthy socialite, 22-year-old British heiress Petra Ecclestone. In July 2011, she plops down $85 million in an all-cash deal.
Well, when you have a house with 123 rooms and 56,000 square feet, there's really no comparables out there. So the big question is, what was a buyer willing to pay? And keep in mind that at this point in time, the real estate market was depressed. So to get $150 million, even for the largest house in California, would have been unlikely.
With only 30 days to move out, it's a massive job for Candy to pack up the 56,000 square foot mansion and move into her new condo.
She calls her 19,000 square foot condo Manor in the Sky. It has a lot of features: the largest outdoor penthouse conservatory in the country, and of course, a gift wrapping room.
She may have downsized, but Candy is still living the high life. Tori, on the other hand, is still having money problems. Now the mother of 4 kids, Tori says she's lost money on real estate, a store that turned into a money pit, and when her reality show gets canceled, her finances dwindle even more.
Reports place the trust's estimated net worth at about $600 million now. And again, Candy is still in control of this. Tori has no choice but to play nice with her and do what Candy wants, because she does not have the money, the wherewithal, or the ability to challenge anything that Candy does with the trust money.
I think for a man that was so successful in business, had hit TV shows around the world, and knew how to make money, conserve money, and build wealth, I think he should have really concentrated more on building sort of a happy environment with his family, knowing that sometimes people might say that money is the root to all evil. I think he should have really planned better. I think a lot of these things could have been avoided.
If the Spellings came to me for counseling at this point, what I would help them do is really identify those core needs and emotions that they have. And I think the money just, and the stuff gets in the way of people who have so much. But really, the bottom line is we all want to be loved, we all want to be accepted and heard, and they're no different.
For nearly 50 years, Aaron Spelling helped shape American primetime. His legacy lives on with his shows playing in perpetual reruns in virtually every part of the world. If he'd been a better actor in his early days, those shows might never have seen the light of day.
Generations have continued to enjoy Aaron Spelling's TV legacy, even after he passed away. I mean, who doesn't remember the theme to Love Boat? And Seventh Heaven was the longest running family drama ever. And Beverly Hills 90210 was reintroduced to a new generation with 90210, and Charlie's Angels was made into a movie. This is not going to stop anytime soon. His fortune is going to continue to grow as his TV legacy goes on and on for decades to come.
Well, Aaron Spelling had the right approach at the right time. Back then, television had simpler requirements. They really just wanted to kick back and have a couple of laughs, watch some people in some gowns having catfights, and he delivered that with aplomb.